Howdy friends, we're going to take a look at installing our tools here. So there's a couple we're going to use. So the GitHub desktop client is the first one here. This is a pretty quick download. It's the way that we're going to work with our GitHub repositories. We'll come back to this next week, but go ahead and download this one, either Windows or Mac. It should be perfectly fine here. When you log in, it'll take you back to the website. I've already logged in, so it's not going to look the same for me, but that's a quick one. The next one is R. You're going to do your download Linux, Mac, or Windows. So for Windows, you probably want the base package here. We don't need any of the older ones like that. Just go to the base package, and then you get the download here. I've downloaded this one to save a little bit of time here. This one's a pretty quick download. Once you've done that one as well and installed it, then we're going to do RStudio. So RStudio is our development environment. So it is by our friends at Posit here. This one's open source, which is pretty cool here. They've got some other fun stuff we can do with their online tools, but the desktop is probably the best thing we're going to do for now, especially when we're working with all of our data we're going to work with later. Trying to get that stuff online is a little bit obnoxious right now. So again, do the downloads. That's great. And install that one. Then we've got RStudio. So if we pull this up here, now R is actually one of the easier languages for us to do here. Let me go do a new folder here. Let's just do test. I'll go to my test folder here. There we go. So you get a lot of different things showing up in here. So you've got your R console over here. This is not a code file. This is just the console itself. So we can just start typing in our commands and stuff will run, which is pretty cool. Then we can navigate around. You can look at your plots, your packages, viewers, presentations, and then your environment details over here as well. So if you wanted to start a new project, we can do a new project to have our code files stay around here. But just the very first basic hello world, if we just put in quotes here. So notice I typed a quote and it gave me the ending quote. This is hello world. And you hit enter and it says, hey, your first line here is hello world. And this is our very first hello world. We made R give us or output to the screen hello world. Now if we wanted to do a new project here, we do a new project. We're going to start in a probably an existing directory, depending on where you have it here, or if you want to start a new directory, that's fine. We'll go to where we're going to specifically put code when we get to projects. Next week when we talk about GitHub. Let me just do it in my test directory here. So we have my working directory. I think I have a test folder here. I'll just throw it in test for fun, and I'll make a project. So now what we get here is a test project file here. So this is my rproj file. Here's my project file, and I can start adding my code in here, right? And again, hello world, or hello test project here. And when I hit enter, that one runs. So now I get my hello test project. And if I want to save this, right now I want to do save all, make sure it's saved. And when I close RStudio and come back to it, we can go and open our project. We have our test R project. We can restore data, get our workspaces. We're good to go here. Now, again, there's nothing really in here. We haven't saved anything in here. We just have the project file. So we're going to go and add more things as we go so we can set up our environment. But this is the first hello world, and we can come back to these projects. We'll keep a cool history of it here, and we can do some more. So this will get your tools up and running. What we're going to do is introduce ourselves here. So if you have a chance, you don't really need to get into the first chapter here, but you can do something called a variable where we can start storing data places. So if you want to keep data around, we use this cool syntax where we say name, and then I want an arrow pointing at name. So this is a less than sign and then a dash here, and I can say Eric. Now you'll see I have these variables showing up here, my name and then the value of Eric. So now I can just type in name, which is my variable name, and I get the value being stored here is Eric. Super exciting. So there's my name. I can say something like my major is on break from school. I was in a doctoral program, had to take a break due to some family health issues, so we'll just say I'm on break from school. And again, if you want to see the output here, we just type in major, and we get the results here. So name and major, and then maybe a fun fact. So we might have fun fact. Now, a couple different ways you can do variable names. I like the underscore variable name. This is snake casing. Not too big of a deal, but this is generally pretty easy to read here. So fun fact about me is I like running. I'm training for my 10th marathon in October. I do the Free Press International Marathon. It's lots of fun. And again, I can just do fun fact. Now, as I start typing FUN, right, it's going to suggest a couple things here. I can go up and down, and then tab to get those, or autocomplete, enter to get those typed in for me, so I don't have to do a lot of typing. I can get all my information here, which is cool. So your name, your major, and your fun fact. And this is what we're going to do for our first lab exercise. Just write some R code that goes and sets some values here. And we're actually going to introduce a partner. So the idea here is you'll post and try and find a partner for the class. It's much more interesting to work with somebody, or at least have someone you can talk with, right? You don't have to do everything side by side by side by side, but we want to be able to work with another person or bounce ideas off of them and chat with them, talk about things. So this will help us get to know someone. So go ahead and post for your lab that, hey, this is me, this is the times I'm usually available. You probably want to find somebody who has similar availability to you. We can do it asynchronously, but if you have to wait a day to get an answer, that's not quite as convenient here as you go. So that's okay. We can go from there. So let me go and add a new file here. Let's add an R script here. So we'll say I can put my code in here, right? So instead of just in the console, I can put it inside of this file here. So I can have name is Eric Chernesky, and my pronouns are he and him, and then I can have my major is on a break from school, and then I can have my fun fact is I'm training, I like running, I'm training for my 10th marathon. If things go well this year, my buddy wants to do an ultra marathon next year. So we'll see how well that goes for us here. And then let's go ahead and give it a save, and we'll say, hey, what do you want to call this? We'll call this lab 1 here. Now I have a lab 1 file. So now when I close my environment, and I want to save my workspace, and I open it back up here with RStudio, I can have this file here again, and I can run this script, which is really cool. So I can come up in here, and I can run my script. So let's go to code. Oh, goodness. No. Oh, my goodness. No. Wow. What's this? F5? Wow. Why can I not remember? Control Enter? That wasn't the little run button here. I'm looking for shortcuts here. Control Enter. Let's run the line or selection. I just want to run. I guess we got to highlight it. Let's highlight it here and do run. And then we get my variables set up here. And then later, if you want to output them here, again, just name, major, and fun fact here. And we can grab all of that and run it. And we see name, major, and fun fact. All right, cool. So we got our lab code here. We've got our R file we can open back up when we're ready. We see our values in here, and we should be good to go. All right, take care, folks.